The fluorescent hum of Northwood High's main office was a constant, low thrum in my ears, a stark contrast to the thundering silence of my own life. Everyone thought I was mateless. And honestly, I let them. It was easier that way. My name is Leticia, and to the outside world, I was just the quiet, perpetually single beta who handled the school's administrative duties. I filed attendance reports, ordered textbooks, and navigated the endless bureaucracy of public education in suburban New Jersey. My wolf, usually a vibrant, restless energy beneath my skin, felt muted. Not broken, not like some rejected mates, but simply unacknowledged. A quiet hum, waiting for a melody. You're about to dive into a story of forbidden passion, hidden power, and a love so scandalous it could shatter a community. Get ready to have your expectations flipped. If you're as hooked as I am on secret mates, unexpected connections, and werewolves who break all the rules, then do me a huge favor. Hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single juicy detail of this powerful story. Your support means the world. The whispers followed me like my own shadow. Poor Leticia, always alone. She's sweet, but a bit plain, isn't she? No wonder she hasn't found her mate. Maybe she's one of those rare ones, destined to walk alone. I'd hear it in the staff lounge, in the hushed tones of students, even in the sympathetic glances from pack members who saw me only through the lens of my perceived solitude. It was a constant, dull ache, a reminder of a life I was supposed to have, but didn't. Or rather, couldn't have, not openly. My daily routine was a carefully constructed facade. Arrive early, before the first bell, the scent of stale coffee and disinfectant clinging to the empty hallways. Process the morning mail. Prepare the daily announcements. And then, at precisely 7:45 a.m., the office door would open, and he would step in. Principal Reyes. He was a force of nature, even in a tailored suit. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a presence that seemed to absorb all the oxygen in the room. His hair, dark as midnight, was always impeccably styled, and his jaw, sharp and defined, spoke of unyielding resolve. Students feared him, teachers respected him, and even some of the older pack members in town, who knew his lineage, spoke of him with a deferential awe. He was an alpha, undeniably, not just by rank, but by sheer raw power that vibrated just beneath his calm exterior. His eyes, a startling, deep hazel, missed nothing. They held the keen intelligence of a scholar and the ancient wisdom of a predator. When he walked, it wasn't a stroll. It was a controlled, almost silent glide, every movement economical, powerful. He smelled of old paper, a faint hint of cedar, and something else, something wild and untamed, like a storm brewing on a distant mountain peak. A scent that only I, his mate, truly registered, a scent that made my wolf, despite its public quietude, stir with a deep, resonant hum. Our secret was a tightrope walk, a delicate dance performed daily in the most public of settings. No one suspected. How could they? Principal Reyes was a pillar of the community, a bastion of professionalism. And I was just Leticia, the mateless beta. The memory of how we discovered our bond was still vivid, a flash of lightning in the mundane. It had happened almost a year ago, during the annual school carnival. I was overseeing the ticket booth, a flurry of sticky hands and excited shouts, when a rogue firework, faulty and unpredictable, veered off course, heading straight for a group of elementary schoolers near the Ferris wheel. Time seemed to slow. I saw it, the arc of the sparkling projectile, the wide-eyed terror on the children's faces. My wolf, usually so subdued, roared to life, a primal surge of protective instinct. I lunged, not thinking, just moving. But I wasn't the only one. A blur of dark suit, a flash of impossible speed. Reyes was there, a fraction of a second before me, his body a solid shield. He caught the firework mid-air, his hands closing around the sizzling projectile with a controlled grunt. The explosion was muffled, contained, a dull thud, followed by the acrid smell of burnt chemicals. The children screamed, then quickly quieted, stunned but unharmed. Reyes stood, his posture rigid, his face impassive. He scanned the crowd, ensuring everyone was safe. Then his gaze, sharp and intense, found mine. Our eyes locked. And in that moment, the world tilted on its axis. It wasn't just recognition, it was a jolt, an electric current that slammed through my chest, vibrating down to my very toes. His scent, usually a distant undercurrent, suddenly exploded, rich and overwhelming, filling my senses with pine and damp earth and a primal, undeniable belonging. My wolf, which had just roared in my defense, now sang, a triumphant, joyous melody that echoed through my soul. Mate. The word resonated, clear and absolute. I saw it in his eyes too, the shock, the dawning comprehension, the raw, undeniable pull that mirrored my own. His perfect control, for a split second, fractured. He took a step towards me, his hand instinctively reaching out. My own hand lifted, as if drawn by an invisible string. But then, the shouts of the crowd, the sirens of emergency vehicles arriving, shattered the moment. He visibly reined himself in, his expression snapping back to that of the composed principal. He gave a curt nod to the arriving firefighters, offered a calm reassurance to the parents, and then, without another glance my way, he was gone, disappearing into the controlled chaos. That night, my apartment felt too small, too quiet. My wolf paced restlessly, the mate bond thrumming with a frantic energy I couldn't ignore. The next morning, I walked into the office, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. Reyes was already there, his back to me, pouring coffee. He turned, and our eyes met. The electric current was still there, a silent, powerful hum. "Leticia," he said, his voice low, a subtle tremor beneath the usual authority. "About yesterday." "I know," I whispered, my throat tight. He set down his mug, his gaze unwavering. "This changes everything." "It doesn't have to," I countered, the word surprising even myself. The school, his position, the pack's expectations, it was all too complicated. Too public. No one saw. No one knows. He studied me, his hazel eyes searching mine. "You would keep it a secret? Would you?" I challenged, my voice barely audible. His jaw tightened. "My position, it demands discretion. My reputation, the students, the pack. It's not just about us." And that was it. The unspoken agreement. The shared burden. Our mate bond, a cosmic declaration, was now a carefully guarded secret, hidden beneath layers of professional decorum and public perception. He was Principal Reyes, the unapproachable alpha. I was Leticia, the mateless beta. And in the quiet moments, in the shared glances across the office, in the subtle shifts of scent only we perceived, we were simply mates, bound by a destiny no one else could ever comprehend. The irony was a bitter pill, but the thrill of our hidden connection, the sheer audacity of it, was an intoxicating counterpoint to the loneliness I had once known. Every day was a performance. I would sit at my desk, answering phones, typing reports, my posture perfect, my expression neutral. Meanwhile, my wolf was practically vibrating with the awareness of him, just feet away. I could feel his moods, a subtle shift in the air when he was stressed, a faint warmth when he was pleased. His scent, a constant, intoxicating presence, was a private language between us. It was a constant battle, a tightrope walk between the mundane reality of school administration and the wild, primal truth of our bond. Our interactions were a masterclass in subtle communication. A shared glance over a student's disciplinary report, a fleeting brush of fingers when handing over a document, a low murmur of his voice in the empty office after hours that was meant only for my ears. He'd leave a specific brand of coffee on my desk, a silent acknowledgement of a particularly stressful morning. I'd ensure his schedule was perfectly organized, a small act of service that spoke volumes. To anyone else, it was professional courtesy. To us, it was a dance of longing and recognition. The hardest part was the constant pretense of being mateless. Within the pack, It meant I was often overlooked for certain duties, or gently pushed towards pack-sanctioned mate searches. Pack elders, with their well-meaning but intrusive questions, were a particular challenge. "Still no luck, dear?" Elder Maeve would ask, her eyes twinkling with false sympathy. "The moon goddess works in mysterious ways. Perhaps your mate is just taking his time." I'd offer a polite, non-committal smile, my wolf howling with silent laughter at the irony. My mate was just down the hall, signing permission slips. Reyes, too, bore his own burden. I could see the strain in his eyes sometimes, the subtle tension in his jaw. He was an alpha, a leader, accustomed to open acknowledgement and clear lines of authority. To hide something so fundamental, so primal as a mate bond, must have been agonizing for his wolf. He was known for his cold, unapproachable demeanor, a reputation that served as a perfect shield for our secret. No one dared to question him too closely, and certainly no one imagined he harbored such a wild, passionate secret beneath his polished exterior. He was the epitome of control, and our bond, with its raw, untamed intensity, was the greatest test of that control. Sometimes, after school hours, when the hallways were empty and the last of the janitorial staff had left, he would come to my office. The door would close with a soft click, and the air would immediately thicken with the scent of pine and raw power. He wouldn't say anything at first, just stand there, his gaze sweeping over me, as if drinking me in. Then he'd cross the room, his movements silent, and pull me into his arms. Those moments were our lifeline. The touch of his skin, the feel of his powerful arms around me, the way our wolves finally, gloriously, sang in unison, it was the only time we were truly ourselves. He'd bury his face in my hair, inhaling my scent, a low growl rumbling in his chest. "Mine," he'd whisper, the possessive claim a balm to my aching soul. "Always mine." And I'd cling to him, the reality of our bond a fierce, burning truth against the cold, public lie. It was dangerous, reckless, but utterly necessary. The tension of our secret was a constant, low hum beneath the surface of my days. It was like living on a fault line, knowing that at any moment, a tremor could expose everything. The school year progressed, a blur of parent-teacher conferences, standardized testing, and the endless drama of teenage lives. For us, it was a series of near misses. One afternoon, a fire alarm blared, piercing the usual calm of the school. It was a drill, but the sudden jarring sound sent a jolt through the entire building. Instinctively, my wolf surged, a protective growl rumbling in my chest. I scanned the hallway, my senses heightened, looking for any sign of genuine danger. My gaze immediately snapped to Reyes. He was at the end of the hall, directing students with his usual calm authority, but I saw it, a subtle clenching of his jaw, a flicker of raw power in his hazel eyes as he scanned the crowd. Our eyes met across the chaotic hallway, and for a split second, his gaze was locked on me, pure, unadulterated concern. He took an unconscious step towards me, his alpha instincts overriding his professional facade. A student, a nosy sophomore named Chloe who fancied herself a detective, happened to be looking our way. Her eyes, wide with curiosity, darted between Reyes and me. He caught himself, the subtle shift in his posture almost imperceptible, but I felt the sudden clamp of his control through our bond. He turned away, barking a sharp command to a group of dawdling freshmen. Chloe's gaze lingered on me for a moment longer, a speculative glint in her eyes, before she shrugged and joined the flow of students. My heart hammered against my ribs. Too close. Far too close. The incident left me shaken. The secret, once a thrilling indulgence, now felt like a heavy burden. I longed for the freedom to acknowledge him, to stand by his side without fear. But the consequences were too high. His career, his reputation, the stability of the pack, all could be jeopardized. And what about me? Would I be seen as a manipulative omega, using a mate bond to gain power? The thought made my stomach churn. The pressure intensified within the pack as well. The annual Mateless Gathering was approaching, a pack-wide event designed to help unmated wolves find partners. It was a tradition deeply ingrained, and as a publicly mateless beta, my participation was expected. Pack elders, with their well-meaning but intrusive questions, were a particular challenge. "Still no luck, dear?" Elder Maeve would ask, her eyes twinkling with false sympathy. "The moon goddess works in mysterious ways. Perhaps your mate is just taking his time." I'd offer a polite, non-committal smile, my wolf howling with silent laughter at the irony. My mate was just down the hall, signing permission slips. I brought it up to Reyes that evening, after the last teacher had left. He was reviewing budget reports, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The Mateless Gathering is next month," I said, my voice carefully neutral. He didn't look up immediately. "Yes, I saw the announcement. A valuable tradition for our unmated." My jaw tightened. "I'm expected to go." He finally looked at me, his hazel eyes softening, a flicker of the mate bond warming the air between us. "I know. It's important for pack unity." "Pack unity?" I scoffed, a rare flash of anger escaping. "Or pack conformity? You want me to stand there, paraded like a prize, while everyone whispers about why I haven't found someone, knowing full well who my mate is?" He rose, his movements slow, controlled. He walked around the desk, stopping before me. His hand reached out, gently cupping my cheek. "Leticia," he said, his voice low, "you know why we do this?" My position. The scrutiny. A public bond with the principal of Northwood High, especially one who is also an alpha, would create a scandal. It would jeopardize everything I've built here, everything I protect. "And what about me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "What about what I protect? My sanity? My dignity?" I pulled away from his touch, the warmth of his hand a painful reminder of the chasm between our public and private lives. "Sometimes, Reyes, I feel like I'm drowning in this secret." He sighed, a deep, weary sound. "I know. And it tears at me. My wolf screams for you, Leticia. Every instinct I have is to claim you, loudly, proudly, before the entire pack. But I can't. Not yet." He paused, his gaze distant, almost haunted. "My last mate. It was a disaster. Not a true mate bond, but a political arrangement. It ended badly. The pack suffered. My reputation was nearly ruined. I swore I would never let anything jeopardize them again. My position here, it's not just a job. It's a shield. For them. For you. A past mate." The words hung in the air, a new layer to his guardedness. I had known he was reserved, almost cold, but I hadn't realized the depth of his past wounds. It wasn't just about his position, it was about a history of pain, a previous failure that made him so fiercely protective of his control. This added a new dimension to our secrecy, a more sympathetic reason for his caution. But it didn't lessen the ache in my heart. The Mateless Gathering was just 2 weeks away. The pressure was mounting, a palpable weight on my shoulders. I saw Reyes in the hallways, in the office, and our interactions, usually a source of secret comfort, now felt strained. His past mate, the disaster that had nearly ruined his reputation, it was a ghost between us. I understood his caution, his need to protect his pack, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being asked to sacrifice my own identity for his past. One afternoon, during a particularly chaotic lunch period, I was trying to mediate a dispute between 2 squabbling betas over cafeteria seating. It was a petty argument, but their wolves were bristling, and the tension was rising. Suddenly, a new scent cut through the air, sharp, aggressive, and distinctly male. My wolf stiffened. A rogue. Not a wild, unhinged rogue, but a calculated, predatory one. My head snapped up. A new student, tall and muscled, with a swagger that spoke of trouble, stood leaning against the cafeteria doorframe, his eyes scanning the room, a smirk playing on his lips. He was an unmated alpha, new to Northwood High, and his scent was a challenge, a declaration of intent. He was looking for a mate, and he was making his presence known. His gaze, bold and assessing, landed on me. He saw an unmated beta, seemingly vulnerable, and his smirk widened. He began to walk towards me, his steps slow, deliberate, his scent growing stronger, a clear claim. My wolf bristled, a low growl rumbling in my chest. This wasn't just a challenge, it was an insult. He was trying to assert dominance, to claim me publicly, knowing my perceived mateless status. I stood my ground, my own beta scent flaring in defiance. The cafeteria, usually a cacophony of noise, seemed to hold its breath. Just as he reached me, his hand extending, presumably to touch my arm, a shadow fell over us. The air grew cold, thick with an undeniable, overwhelming power that made every wolf in the room, including the rogue alpha, instinctively flinch. Principal Reyes. He stood directly behind me, his presence a solid wall of controlled fury. His voice, when he spoke, was a low rumble, barely above a whisper, but it vibrated through the very floorboards. "Is there a problem here, Mr. Thorne?" The rogue alpha, Thorne, visibly swallowed. His swagger faltered. He turned, his eyes wide with a mixture of surprise and instinctive deference. "No, sir. Just introducing myself to a new classmate." His gaze flicked to me, then back to Reyes, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. He had sensed the mate bond, faint but undeniable, clinging to me, emanating from Reyes. Reyes didn't move. He simply stood, radiating pure, unadulterated alpha power. "I believe you'll find that Ms. Leticia is quite capable of handling her own introductions. And her own company." His hazel eyes, usually so composed, now held a dangerous glint. "Perhaps you should familiarize yourself with the school's code of conduct, Mr. Thorne. And remember that Northwood High values respect above all else." "Is that clear?" Thorne, pale and visibly shaken, nodded curtly. "Yes, sir. Perfectly clear." He backed away, his aggressive scent quickly fading, replaced by a faint tang of fear. The tension in the cafeteria slowly dissipated. Students resumed their conversations, though quieter now, and the two beta girls I'd been mediating stared at me with newfound awe. Reyes didn't look at me. He simply turned and walked away, his posture as rigid as ever, leaving me standing there, my heart pounding, my wolf singing a triumphant, grateful song. He had protected me, publicly, instinctively, without a second thought for his discretion. He had risked everything for me. The Mateless Gathering, his past, his reputation, it all faded in comparison to the raw, undeniable truth of that moment. He might hide our bond from the world, but he would never let anyone disrespect or threaten me. And in that, I found a new kind of strength. The secret was still a burden, but it was also a shield, and a testament to a love that ran deeper than any public declaration. The weight of the secret, however, was beginning to press down on me. The Mateless Gathering loomed, a stark reminder of the lie I was living. I saw the speculative glances from pack members, the way Thorne, the new alpha student, now watched me with a mixture of wariness and grudging respect. He knew something was off, even if he couldn't pinpoint it. One evening, after the last student had left and the school was quiet, I found Reyes in his office, the scent of his wolf, usually so comforting, now tinged with a subtle tension. He was staring out the window, his back to me. "The elders are pushing," he said, his voice low, without turning. "They want me to participate in the Mateless Gathering as well. To set an example. To show leadership." My breath hitched. "You? But you're an alpha. And the principal. It's unprecedented." He turned, his hazel eyes tired. "They believe it will quell rumors, show stability, and perhaps, they hope, I will find a Luna from a suitable lineage, one who can strengthen the pack." His gaze met mine, and the pain in his eyes was a physical blow. "They don't know." "They don't know that your mate is standing right here," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. The irony was cruel. He was being pressured to publicly search for a mate, while his true mate stood in his office, hidden in plain sight. "What will you do?" He walked towards me, his steps slow, deliberate. He reached out, his hand gently cupping my cheek. "I don't know," he admitted, his thumb tracing the curve of my jaw. "My wolf screams at the thought of it." "But my duty," he sighed, a deep, weary sound. "My duty is to the pack, to protect them, to ensure their stability." His gaze dropped to my lips. "And to protect you, Leticia, from the scrutiny, from the judgment, from the consequences of a bond that defies all expectations." "What if I don't want to be protected from it anymore?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "What if I want to stand by your side, openly? To face the consequences together?" His eyes widened, a flicker of surprise, then a deeper, more profound emotion. "Leticia!" "I'm tired of the whispers, Reyes," I confessed, tears pricking at my eyes. "I'm tired of being the mateless beta. I'm tired of hiding. Our bond, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's us." He pulled me into his arms, holding me tight, burying his face in my hair. I felt the rumble of his wolf, a deep, resonant hum that spoke of longing and conflict. "I know," he murmured. "I know." He held me for a long moment, the scent of pine and wildness filling my senses, a silent promise in the embrace. The Mateless Gathering was just days away. The tension was unbearable. Our secret, once a fragile shield, was now a suffocating cage. Something had to give. The night of the Mateless Gathering arrived, cloaked in a deceptive calm. The New Jersey Pack's main hall, usually reserved for solemn ceremonies, was transformed into a vibrant, if somewhat awkward, social mixer. Laughter mingled with nervous chatter, and the air was thick with the sense of hopeful unmated wolves and their subtly judging families. I wore a simple, deep green dress, a color I knew complemented my dark hair and eyes, but it felt like a costume. My wolf was restless, a caged beast pacing within me, longing to break free, to howl its truth. Elder Thorne, ever the traditionalist, greeted me with a stern nod. "Good to see you, Leticia. A beta of your standing should be here. Many fine unmated alphas and betas are present tonight." His gaze swept the room, then returned to me, a hint of expectation in his eyes. I offered a tight smile, my heart sinking. He was clearly hoping I'd find someone, anyone, to fulfill my perceived destiny. Then a hush fell over the room. Principal Reyes entered, a ripple of murmurs following him. He was magnificent in a dark suit, his presence commanding, his alpha aura radiating power. He moved through the crowd, greeting elders and pack leaders with polite nods, his face a mask of professional composure. He looked utterly unapproachable, exactly as he always did. And my mate bond, a fierce, burning thread, hummed between us, a silent scream of recognition that only I could hear. He made his way to the dais, where Elder Maeve, the gentle but shrewd head of the Mateless Committee, stood waiting. She smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Welcome, Alpha Prince Reyes. Your presence honors us tonight. Perhaps even you will find a connection among our wonderful unmated wolves." The crowd chuckled, a nervous, expectant sound. Reyes took the microphone, his voice, usually so controlled, holding a subtle tremor that only I, his mate, would detect. "Thank you, Elder Maeve. Indeed, tonight is a celebration of our pack's future, of the bonds that strengthen us. And as an alpha, it is my duty to ensure the well-being of every member of our pack." His gaze swept the room, then, almost imperceptibly, found mine. A silent question hung in the air. "Are you ready?" My breath hitched. My wolf roared. "Yes." "For too long," Reyes continued, his voice gaining strength, resonating with a power that silenced every whisper, "some bonds have been overlooked. Some truths have been hidden. Not out of malice, but out of a misguided sense of duty, of protection." He paused, his gaze now fixed solely on me, across the crowded hall. The noise of the room faded, replaced by the frantic pounding of my heart. But a true alpha leads with honesty. A true mate claims what is theirs, without fear. A ripple of confusion went through the crowd. Elder Thorne frowned, his head tilted. Reyes took a deep breath, his eyes burning with an intensity that made me feel like the only person in the room. Tonight, I correct a grave oversight. Tonight, I claim what is mine, before the moon goddess and before all of you. He stepped down from the dais, his gaze never leaving mine. He walked through the stunned crowd, his step slow, deliberate, every eye following his progress. The air crackled with anticipation, with confusion, with a dawning realization. He stopped directly in front of me. He reached out, his hand gently cupping my cheek. His thumb traced the curve of my jaw, just as it had in the privacy of his office. "Leticia," he said, his voice low, raw with emotion, "you are my mate, my fated one, my Luna." A collective gasp swept through the hall. Whispers erupted, then shouts. "The principal? Mateless Leticia? But how?" Elder Thorne's face was a mask of shock. Reyes ignored them all. His gaze was solely on me, filled with a love so fierce it took my breath away. "I was a fool to hide it, a coward to let you believe you were anything less than perfect. My position, my past, my fears, none of it matters compared to the truth of our bond. I love you, Leticia, more than words can say, more than any duty." He dropped to one knee, right there in the middle of the crowded hall, amidst the chaos. "Will you forgive me for my silence? Will you accept my claim? Will you be my Luna, openly, proudly, by my side, for all the world to see?" My vision blurred with tears. My wolf howled, a joyous, triumphant sound that echoed through my very soul. This was it. The moment I had longed for, dreamed of, despaired of. The truth, finally, gloriously, out in the open. "Yes," I whispered, then louder, my voice ringing with a newfound strength. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." He rose, pulling me into a fierce, possessive kiss that erased all doubt, all fear, all the years of loneliness. The pack hall erupted. Not with anger, not with judgment, but with a roar of surprise, then a swelling wave of cheers and applause. It wasn't universal, I knew. There would be questions, challenges, whispers. But in that moment, in Reyes's arms, under the gaze of our shocked but ultimately accepting pack, I felt truly, gloriously claimed. The secret was out, and my life, our life, had just begun. If you enjoyed this thrilling romance, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment with your favorite moment, and subscribe to my channel for more captivating stories. Your support helps me bring more tales of love, magic, and destiny to life.